Ajit Atwal was recently elected as the new mayor of Derby, succeeding Jed Potter. This transition took place at the annual mayor making ceremony on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Two things. First of all, it's nice to see the word transition written down without it involving an 8-year-old lopping his cock off. Alright, so first of all, positive to begin the day with. Secondly, Ajit Atwal. Where do I know that name from? From the BBC in March 2014, Derby councillor Ajit Atwal will not resign over AK-47 Twitter picture. That's where I recognise the name from. He's a full-blown jihadi. Nice one. Nice one. I'm sure he's going to be a fine leader of the 14th largest city in the UK. It also aptly explains this puff piece that they just published about him in a local paper in Derby. New Derby mayor makes knife crime top priority after friend's death. Councillor Ajit Atwal is on a mission to improve public safety in Derby. Okay, so that explains it, right? What actually happened was, his mate was the one doing the stabbing, and he cut himself on the knife. So Ajit wants everyone who's usually tooled up with a mere edged weapon to start wielding an AK-47 instead. You've got to hand it to him. That's outside the box thinking for a public servant in the UK. Evening, ladies and gents. How are you doing? Right, let's get into this one. We'll discuss why exactly a fat jihadi is now running one of the largest cities in the UK. You couldn't make it up, could you? If a middle-aged housewife even tweets slightly impolitely, she gets 2.5 years in jail. But if a big, fat, holy warrior wields an automatic weapon, okay, they lionise him and make him the mayor. You couldn't make that up, could you? Well, I mean, we did make movie villain, terrorist lawyer, sad sack Kant the mayor of London, so why can't we make a gun-toting holy warrior mayor of the 14th largest city? It makes sense to me, doesn't it? So here he is. This sloshing portaloo of a human being is now the mayor of Derby. Let's have a quick look at this story, shall we? A councillor and magistrate has refused to resign for posing with an AK-47 rifle and posting a picture on Twitter. Derby Liberal Democrat. Oh, of course he's a Liberal Democrat. Yeah. Only in an upside-down country can the words liberal and democrat be a synonym for pro-intifada, lamenting for the glory days of the Holocaust, and turning a blind eye to the industrial-scale surprise sex atrocities committed against 100,000 children. Only in a country as backwards as the UK can a bloke like that have the term Liberal Democrat in front of his name. But I digress. He has apologised for the photograph, but said he's done nothing wrong. Okay, so why did you apologise then, if you've done nothing wrong? If you haven't been spitting virulent hate for the last 20 years, what are you saying sorry for? Leader of Derby City Council at the time, Paul Bayliss, called on Mr Atwal to reconsider his positions after a national newspaper published the photo. Mr Atwal said he had been naive. Naive. Yeah, of course he was. And Bin Laden was just being naive when he reduced 2 glorious monuments to human ingenuity into 10 million tonnes of scrap. Cheers, mate. Labour councillor Paul Bayliss said he's in a position in the public eye. He needs to exercise judgment whether he's in this country or not. This suggests to me he doesn't exercise very good judgment. I think he needs to reconsider his position as both a councillor and a justice of the peace. Well, alas, ladies and gentlemen, this story is 11 years old, okay? So now there's nobody called Paul Bayliss on the council. They're all slightly more Eastern names on the Derby Council these days, which is why this bloke that was there being excoriated by the leader of the council is now ascended to the mayorship of the council. In fact, he can rule the city with an iron fist, safe in the knowledge that all of his mates, people that are also regulars at Alan's marvellous snack bar, will happily look the other way. I mean, if you're going to look the other way when they're torturing, diddling and occasionally killing children, why are you going to be bothered about a bloke merely wielding an AK-47? In fact, won't that drive his popularity up? If they know he's willing to die for the cause with a gun in his hand, he's probably going to be the most popular mayor in Derby for the last 200 years. Because the people that used to live in Derby have been replaced with a group of people who don't think using anti-Semitic slurs and waving an AK-47 around make you look like a bad person at all. Nay, They think it's a gold star on your report card. Speaking of Alan's Snack Bar, here's an obligatory plug. Why not get yourself this marvellous Alan's Snack Bar t-shirt? It also comes in hot pink for wives, girlfriends and very camp men. Where was I again? Oh yeah, Holy Warrior in Derby. As you can see, now he's dressed quite sharply. The BBC's not talking about him anymore, funny old thing. Google Ajit Atwal Derby BBC, you're getting out. Because they don't want to be seen to be criticising one of their chums. Yes, being pro-murder is only a bad thing if you're ginger and pasty and you come from like Sunderland or somewhere. Derby's new mayor says tackling knife crime is his priority following multiple stabbings in the city. What, there's been more stabbings since the Lib Dems started running things? You do surprise me, lads. Atwal was elected Derby's first citizen at the annual mayor-making ceremony on Wednesday, taking over the reins from Jed Potter. If that's not emblematic of what's gone on in Europe for the last 20 years, I don't know what is. And have you noticed how they studiously avoided the term replacing? Yeah, they don't want to talk about people called Ajit replacing people called Jed, do they? But that's what happened. The Lib Dem councillor was elected unopposed, despite the aforementioned AK-47 pictures, during the first part of Derby City Council's annual general meeting. Councillor Atwal was leader of the city's Liberal Democrat group. Liberal Democrat. If Ted Bundy was an Englishman, he'd be a Liberal Democrat. Unbelievable. Councillor Atwal was born and bred in Derby and grew up in Normanton. He is well known for being the face of his family business, Atwal Car and Van Hire on Dairy House Road. He had lots of support on his proudest day as Derby City Councillor, with the public gallery packed to see the moment he was declared the new mayor to the famous song of Eye of the Tiger. Speaking of the local democracy reporting service, he said, "It feels fantastic for me and my family. I'm very humbled that I've got the support to put me in this position." Of course you've got the support. You shook an AK-47 and called for intifada on social media, and we've replaced the population of Derby with tens of thousands of people who are desperate to rerun Adolf's grand plan. It was a very proud moment. It was great to see so many people in the public gallery. I've never seen it so packed before. I've actually had to turn some people away. Yeah, the only thing more crowded than that are a set of bunk beds in your average Bradford council house. Councillor Atwal said, "I lost a good friend a couple of weeks ago and it was knife crime. It's not getting any better. So that's going to be at the forefront. We all have to work together to try and tackle this problem. I know it's a problem for the rest of the country too, but this is our city and we want people to feel safe and think it is a warm and welcome city to go to and not live in fear when you were out in Derby." Well, there you go. I never used to live in fear when I was out in Derby, but funny old thing, when the man at the top of the city is published shaking an assault rifle, it makes me my arse twitches just a little bit when I walk through Derby these days, but it didn't 20 years ago when we hadn't packed it to the rafters with pro-murder councillors and the people that vote for pro-murder councillors. All right, that's the news for the day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be here for a live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK. Please turn up and, we'll probably engage in a lot more mockery of people like the good councillor. All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.